Bankruptcy can be stressful, and the Great Recession isn't helping anyone. Individuals as well as small businesses are finding themselves in serious debt. But if you're a small business owner struggling with your debt, you should find out your rights because help is out there. The team at Wink & Wink is here to give you the facts about bankruptcy. They're members of the National Association of Consumer Bankruptcy Attorneys, the Colorado Bar Association, and accredited by the Better Business Bureau with a great rating. Michael Wink joins us today. Thank you for being here and welcome back.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
So last time that you were on the show with us, we were focusing on individuals in need of bankruptcy. And today we're going to focus on small businesses in need of bankruptcy.
That's right. Last time on the show, we talked about primarily homeowners struggling with mortgage debt. And before we get into small business owners, I just want to say, because the issue is so big out there, that if you're a homeowner struggling with mortgage debt, you really should find out your rights in bankruptcy. It's a very powerful solution for homeowners.
It is, absolutely.
But that said, today's topic is small business owners. And we see these days a lot of small business owners whose businesses took a hit in around 2008 at the start of the so-called Great Recession. And that's left many of them unable to pay their business debts. The problem is compounded by the fact that the typical small business owner has personally guaranteed those business debts. So not only is their business under pressure, but they can be sued and pursued directly and personally by their creditors for payment of those business debts. And for people in that situation, for small business owners in that situation, bankruptcy can be a very powerful solution.
Let's talk about how it can help them.
Sure. You know, when we deal with the small business owners facing bankruptcy, we really view the goal as twofold. Number one, we want to keep the small business owner with a certain amount of assets so that they can stay in business and continue to make a living after bankruptcy. And then number two, of course, we want to make sure that they get out of the liability for the personally guaranteed business debts. And, you know, as it pertains to the assets of the business, the primary mechanism that we have to keep small business owners in business after bankruptcy is the so-called tools of the trade exemption. And an exemption in bankruptcy speak is essentially certain kinds of property and values that you can keep through bankruptcy that your creditors can't get and that you can use for a fresh start on the other side. And in Colorado, the tools of the trade exemption is $20,000. And that means that a small business owner in bankruptcy can keep $20,000 worth of tools, business equipment, inventory, and essentially utilize those tools of the trade to make a living after you get out of the debt. And there's a lot of technicalities involved with the tools of the trade exemption. And the most important one that I want to touch on is simply that in order for it to apply, the assets must be owned by the small business owner personally. They can't be owned by a business entity such as an LLC or an S corporation. And so to the extent that the small business owner owns one of those entities, some planning is often required prior to filing bankruptcy to make sure that the small business owner can keep some of those assets and stay in business and make a living after bankruptcy.
Right, that's actually very interesting and sounds a little complicated for someone to get into by themselves. So they can keep their assets, but it needs to be owned personally by them.
Absolutely.
Again, that's why they need a professional to get involved with this.
Absolutely. That's a very good reason. I've seen, I would say, small business owners above almost any class of debtor should have attorneys in bankruptcy because there's a lot of technicalities. And there's also technicalities on the liability side. Because the small business owner has typically personally guaranteed the business debt, they're looking at a personal bankruptcy. And the most common forms of personal bankruptcy are Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. And in either one, a small business owner can get out of personally guaranteed business debt. But the business itself, if it is an LLC or an S corporation, if it's an entity, it is not eligible for discharge. It can't get out of debt in a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 discharge. So here again, planning is often required prior to bankruptcy to make sure that we position the small business owner so that he or she can get out of the debt while keeping some of the assets and moving on with a fresh start.
I'm going to give our viewers your number, and thanks again for being here.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
The law office of Wink & Wink is a small family law firm with the time and desire to counsel and assist you in every step of your bankruptcy case, whether personal or business. Give them a call at 1-888-NOW-WINK or visit their website, winkandwink.com. Call them now for a free consultation and start the important step toward regaining your financial freedom. Their number again is 1-888-NOW-WINK.